The airport was loud, crowded, and restless. People rushing with luggage, families saying goodbyes, the sound of rolling suitcases echoing on the floor. It was just another ordinary day. Until suddenly, everything changed. From the far end of the terminal, a man in uniform appeared. His steps were slow, heavy, and with him, he carried something that silenced even the busiest crowd. Draped in the American flag, a soldier's coffin rolled forward. The chatter died instantly. Children stopped crying. Even the boarding announcements felt quieter. Everyone could feel it. This was not just a box. This was sacrifice, wrapped in red, white, and blue. But then, the unthinkable happened. Just as the officer reached the gate, a flight attendant rushed in front of him, her voice cold and sharp. "Sir, you can't bring that through here. You're delaying the flight. Step aside." The words stabbed through the silence like knives. Gasps erupted from the waiting passengers. Mothers covered their mouths. Strangers looked at each other in disbelief. The officer froze. His hand tightened on the casket. His voice, calm but filled with fire, echoed across the hall. "This man gave his life for this country, and you're telling me he's not welcome on board?" The attendant crossed her arms. "Rules are rules. We need to keep the schedule." But before the officer could respond, a woman stood up from the waiting area. Her voice trembled with outrage. "Shame on you! That coffin holds a hero!" And just like that, the crowd shifted. Murmurs grew louder. People began pulling out their phones, recording every second. The atmosphere changed from silence to anger. The officer looked at the crowd, then back at the attendant. His face was carved with grief, but his words cut like steel. "I'm not asking for favors. I'm demanding respect. If this flight takes off, it takes off with him, or it doesn't take off at all." The entire terminal fell silent again. The only sound was the officer's breathing, heavy, defiant. A man in a suit, the airline manager, hurried over, clearly panicked by the growing scene. His voice cracked as he tried to calm things down. "Sir, please. We can make other arrangements. We'll figure it out." But the officer shook his head. "There are no other arrangements. This soldier goes home, with dignity. That's non-negotiable." The manager hesitated, glancing at the angry passengers, at the cameras flashing, at the live streams already spreading online. His forehead dripped with sweat. He knew the world was watching. Finally, he caved. "Fine. The coffin will be loaded, and you may escort him." But it was too late. The damage was already done. The passengers had seen the airline's true face. Some shouted, "We're never flying with you again." Others demanded refunds right there. The crowd's anger wasn't just about the rules, it was about humanity. Once on the plane, the officer sat close to the coffin. His eyes never left the flag. He didn't eat, didn't drink, didn't move. He just watched, guarding the soldier's final journey. And then, something remarkable happened. One by one, passengers began to approach him. A young mother placed her hand on her child's shoulder and whispered, "Say thank you." The boy saluted. Tears filled the officer's eyes. A businessman in a suit knelt down and whispered, "I never served, but men like him protected my freedom. Thank you." Then, an elderly man with shaky hands walked down the aisle. His voice was raspy, but strong enough to be heard. "I was in Vietnam. I lost brothers there. Welcome home, soldier." He placed his trembling hand gently on the flag. The cabin fell silent. Some passengers cried openly. Others bowed their heads in prayer. For hours, the flight remained wrapped in that silence. No laughter, no music, just respect. And when the plane finally landed, no one moved. Not a single passenger stood up to grab their bags. Not a single person tried to rush off. Instead, every single one of them waited until the coffin was carried out first. The officer pushed slowly, his face pale but proud as the flag-draped coffin rolled down the ramp. And then, every passenger followed. What began with one man became a procession. The terminal filled with hundreds of strangers walking in silence, following the coffin like mourners at a funeral. Some wept, some saluted, some placed their hands on their hearts. It wasn't just a soldier coming home anymore. It was a nation remembering what sacrifice really means. The airline tried to apologize later. Press releases, statements, excuses. But it was too late. The videos had gone viral. News stations replayed the moment again and again. The world had already seen. But for that officer, none of that mattered. The only thing that mattered was this. His brother, his comrade, his fallen hero, had come home with honor. Because rules, profits, and schedules mean nothing compared to sacrifice. And when you gamble against dignity, when you gamble against honor, you always lose.